Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. And now to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Happy Devils Sunday. I don't know if Beer Baron is nodding no because I screwed up the intro, or you're not happy. He doesn't. I'm
just not happy.
You're just not happy? Okay.
Sam, you
How about
finally
you,
get the
Scott?
intro right on probably the worst Devil Sunday of the season.
Yeah. I picked a hell of a time to get the intro right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
you really
is,
did pick a hell of a time to get that intro right.
This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, season 1, episode 29. We're continuing the podcast throughout the summer, but let's start off with yesterday afternoon. Devils taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning, Game 5 at Amalie Arena. Lots of thoughts about the game, about the season. Beer Baron, why are you pissed? I mean, I know the obvious, but why are you pissed?
The obvious. I mean, I'm not pissed as much as I'm just bummed out. In all honesty, like this whole year could be summed up as being one hell of a year, right? It's just a bummer, man. Like it was just a fun ride, and it's just sad to know that the season's over, and now we got to wait until September, October to watch Devils hockey again. So, just a bummer. It's just a bummer. That's all. What's up, David? David always chiming in. But I am pissed about this though. I'm sorry. I have to say this: that the taking 5 consecutive penalties in yesterday's game pissed me off. So
I thought
there's
the
no
refs
excuse for that
sucked.
ever.
I thought the refs sucked. I don't think they were biased. I just thought they sucked all around in Game 5 yesterday. I mean, I saw even there should have been penalties on the Devils. They didn't call it. So I don't want to sound like a homer, but they were just horrible. 5 straight penalties. But I literally saw Tampa like cross-checking from behind or slew footing or whatever. Nothing.
yeah,
Nothing.
and
Call the game
Manella-
consistent.
Robert Manella says that Kucherov will have a target in his head next year. the only problem is guys like him and Marchand, and we'll get into that hit that Kucherov had on Vatanen. They get away with it because the old NHL doesn't exist anymore. Nobody's going to make them call the bell. PL3 said it on our show.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but not only PL3, but Grant said it as well. I heard Bryce Salvador lamenting about it on the on one of the either post games or in between periods. So it's not just PL3. It's all of the guys from the older generation of the game all realize that is what's missing. And I know I mentioned this at least once before. That was always one of the gripes about the Olympic hockey games, where there was no fighting, and a lot of times there would be some cheap hits like that because there was no repercussions. And now we're seeing the seeds have been sown about no repercussions because there are no more enforcers in the game.
You're right, 100%. You look at what Brad Marchand's been doing to Mitch Marner in that series, in the Boston Maple Leaf series. The other night he took him and damn near put his head through the ice. And say what you want about that Kucherov hit, and people will be like, "Well, you supported Scott Stevens and blah blah blah," and I still do, by the way. That hit was the same exact hit that got Drew Doughty a 1-game suspension in the same playoffs in the same year. You know what I mean? So how is one guy doing
days apart? Days apart.
100%. And if you look at I remember, I sent you guys that video, that side-by-side comparison. It's identical. And you can't say that Doughty, hit his head first because he went in, made contact with the body first, and then went into the head. Say what you will. I mean, just be consistent. That's it. Just be consistent.
Yeah,
consistently bad.
Is the big deal.
Yeah, they're consistently bad. And there's something also I want to point out. And again, I'm not advocating violence or whatever, but I think I talked to you about this, Shorts guy. But when Callahan scored that empty net goal with 1.7 seconds left, was that necessary? God. And you know what really pissed me off even more about that? Because they had the series at hand. But let me tell you what really pissed me off about that. None of the Devils did anything about that. None of the I mean, to me, that's showboating. It's a different game now.
And you know what? And to their credit, there's 1 second left. What do you want them to do? Go out on the ice and start punching people in the face when they're going to have to go and shake their hands a second later? Like, you don't expect them to do it. But at the same time, you're right. Like, completely unnecessary to put that empty netter in. Like, show some class.
All you have to do is just grab the guy in the jersey and say something to him, and that's it. I'm not saying cheap shot him, deck him, or tackle him, or cause drama. But I just saw you just went just untouched. And to me, that's like in football when the other team is kneeling and you go after the offensive line's knees to try to strip them.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Like,
you're right.
Stop it. Just stop it. But what do you expect from ex-Ranger? I mean, I thought the 2012 team was Strawman, Girardi, Callahan.
But Boyle was on the
Miller
this time.
Yeah, he came over to the dark side. That's what I say. So. But here are the lessons learned about because Tampa is obviously the number 1 seed for a reason. I thought the Devils sustained a pretty good speed game, but they definitely need to get bigger on the blue line, and they got tossed around a little bit. And I think that's part of the process. I still feel that this team is 2 years ahead of schedule for where they need to be. So. Don't know what your thoughts on that, Short Sky and Beer Baron.
Well, I'll say this. I think overall for this series that penalties were a problem. Tampa's power play was so good, and we gave them way too many opportunities. and just dumb penalties. I keep thinking back. I think it was game 2. Wood took a penalty 5 seconds into the second period. You don't do that. And it was a useless one. It was like hooking or something stupid. So penalties, and then we took 5 straight yesterday. So really, one of our big problems was we gave them way too many opportunities. We gave a team that didn't need any more opportunities than was already going to get more opportunity, and it's going to put us on the back foot a lot of the time. So partially we shot ourselves in the foot with this one, with all those penalties over the course of the entire series, not just yesterday, but overall.
Yeah, and I mean, like, just so everybody that's listening, like, I'm not going to sit here and bitch and complain about like how the series went, because to be honest with you, like I said in the very beginning, I was surprised that they even got to this point this year. Like, we were pegged to be dead last. So, I mean, it's great, it's great, all the silver lining stuff. But the reality is, you just nailed it on the head. Like, they shot themselves in the foot. You took 5 penalties in a row, and not only are you're putting your penalty killers out there and making Corey get extra work and really putting yourself at a disadvantage, you're also keeping Heischer and Hall and a lot of those guys off the ice. So you got to think about it. So there's 10 minutes of that game that Taylor Hall was not on the ice. You know what I mean? And Tampa Bay figured out, you shut down Hall and you shut down the offensive production of the team. And case in point, game 3, he had a goal and 2 assists. So yeah, I think the death blow to this series was that Kucherov hit on Vatanen, and that changed game 4, and that changed the whole series, because I think if Vatanen's in that game, I think they win game 4. That's just my honest opinion.
Yeah, we definitely lost a big one with him out.
Where was that animal, Brian Boyle? Like the team should have responded to that when Vatanen got hit, like really responded. But I don't know. Maybe I'm too old school. Maybe the new NHL doesn't. But you got to do something. You have to.
But that's something. The thing. It's not just the Devils though. It's like across the league. And then even if you retaliate, they're cracking down on the things of like, if you retaliate in the wrong way, then you're suspended. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but Nico Heischer getting hit in the balls by headband. He's
feared. Not just hit, feared.
Yeah.
Oh, and the refs didn't see it. Two refs who were within 15 feet of that didn't see it, by the way.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The whole series was just so badly called. And that's not the reason why the Devils lost that series. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely not.
Game 1 and 2, they were overmatched. And Kincaid looked like he was a little over his head, so I don't know.
Yeah, that was the first time he looked over his head in the last 3 months. So it's kind of, it was like ride the hot hand. Well, unfortunately, the hot hand went cold at the absolute worst time. And that was game 1 and 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, Scott Christie writes. Christie writes, thoughts on not playing Grabner. What are your thoughts?
I gotta say what's up to Scotty first of all. How you doing, buddy? My thoughts are, apparently he wasn't doing something right to get kind of taken out of the lineup. I am a big Grabner fan personally. The amount of penalties that were taken, we could have probably used his speed.
Yeah, totally.
At the same time, for whatever reason, and that's something the coaches saw, and they see something. You're going to take away one of the better penalty killers on the team, and put in. I guess you could say that they put in Gibbons in his place, but I don't know. There must have been something that the coaching staff saw. Maybe that there's too many guys that he used to play with that know how he plays. I don't know.
But let's not forget, that's not the first time that the coaching staff has benched guys during the season. They were pretty good at doing that regularly, just to send a message. So it's not like this is the first time they've done it all year.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, it's the playoffs.
Exactly.
It's a lot faster and can end a lot quicker.
And I think if they would have went deeper into this series, or if they went into round 2, you would have seen him come back. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think he was too valuable of a player to keep, benched the entire playoff run. So, just sucks, man.
No, I agree.
So bummed out.
It does. I don't know. Over the last, with the Devils not being in the playoffs and all I had were playoff wise were the Red Bulls. I think I've become jaded to playoff disappointments because that's all I've seen in the last bunch of years with them too. So it's gone from Stanley Cup loss in 2012 to constant disappointment from then on out. So for me, playoff disappointment is just like,
just a
sun goes down,
thing.
sun comes up. It's a day that ends in Y. Oh, it's playoff disappointment day. Oh boy.
Yeah. You know what though?
However,
go ahead.
I'm gonna say this. I'm disappointed, but I'm not, and the reason being is it's really like Sam said, we're way far ahead of schedule, and I'm happy with the way this team is, with the direction the team's going, the way this team's looking, and if they can keep this up, I feel like it's just a couple more pieces, and then this team becomes a dominant force in the league.
I agree. And, Taylor Hall really asserted himself as being an elite player, and you just got to keep building around that. Nico showed that the Devils made the right choice with picking him number 1 overall. You had guys like Coleman step up, and, he could be the next John Madden to this team. And, there were so many things that came together. My buddy was laughing so hard. Like he was texting me during the game, and I think it was game 3, and he's like, dude, you totally turned me into like such a huge Coleman fan. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because dude is like, he grinds it out every shift. Like, he's the type of third liner penalty killer you need. But I feel like if the Devils go out, if they can sign John Carlson in the offseason, add to that blue line, and then maybe pick up even a Van Riemsdyk, who's supposed to be a UFA coming into the summer. They need somebody else to help Taylor Hall. And think about it too. That'd be cool. Bring 2 more Jersey guys back home. You bring Van Riemsdyk and Carlson, who are both from Jersey. Back to the fold.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. Van Riemsdyk, I was already thinking about after listening to the radio yesterday, talk about how the Toronto. He may be the guy on the outside looking in when it comes to Toronto. They were saying something. Yeah. He's got like a $6 million. His cost would be like a $6 million per year or something like that. So I know we have cap space, and if he's going to help us on the offensive end, I'm all for it.
Actually, guys, this was actually a topic in the Let's Go Devils Facebook group, and I actually put up get Tavares now.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Let me tell you something about going after Tavares. At the very least, drive up the price to astronomical value, because whoever's going to pay for that, whether we do or not, the Devils do or not, it's going to tie up cap space. The Devils have cap space right now. If they do get Tavares, I'm saying maybe a 5-10% chance that they do. Guess what? Think about this. 3 first overall picks down the middle. Hischier, Hall, and Tavares. You can't get better.
Nice.
I mean, that will match.
That would be awesome.
That will match a number 1 seed like Tampa's depth right off the bat. Right off the bat. Defensively, other people are asking about, Covey, or I'm sorry, what kind of defenseman? Or now I'm saying Covey, Kovalchuk is not. Forget about Kovalchuk. Just forget about Kovalchuk.
Even if he comes back, he's 35 years old. Or going to be 36 years old. He's an aging superstar. He was great in the KHL, because you know what, he can be great in the KHL. Pavel Datsyuk, who is at the end of his career, went over the KHL and dominated. He will come back to the NHL and he will put up, maybe 20, 25 goals, but he's not going to be,
if he's lucky,
this stud that he used to be. And I mean, part of my heart would love to see him back in a Devils sweater. And if he goes to the Rangers, it's going to be, it would rip my heart out. At the same time, who cares? Like you said, Shorts Guy, you said this a long time ago. I think it was like episode like 12. You're like, I got over getting hurt by players coming and going or going other places and being in other sweaters. Yeah. Like, it happens. It's a business. And, You know what? I might burn the name tag off the back of that jersey, but that's about it. Who cares? You know, if he goes to the Rangers, he's not going to do anything. They're in a rebuild. Like they're not going anywhere. Especially if
I've seen some. I've seen some Kovalchuk jerseys. I've seen a guy take like hockey tape over and just put Kovalchuk. I've seen some major alterations.
I've seen that too.
With that jersey. But I think Devils fans, look, Lou's gone. Everybody's gone. Marty's gone. You got to move on. Kovalchuk's not coming back. Even if he does, okay, but it's not going to be like the glory years. I see you're laughing, Beer Baron. Well,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm Mike. Realize we're not going against you. That is just you ever have like an ex-girlfriend that like really burned you bad, and then you see her walking around with somebody else, and you're just like, you know what, I'm over her, but it still pisses me off. Like that's how it feels with Kovalchuk. So it's nothing against you, buddy.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing against you. We enjoyed Mike Post and the Let's Go Devils podcast group chat. Douglas Walker writes, load up on defense. You got to beef up that blue line, man. You got to put some more muscle. More muscle.
So how much do you think Carlson's going to... John Carlson coming out of Washington, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he led the NHL in points this year as a defenseman. I could be wrong about that, but he's going to cost a pretty penny. He's going to cost you at least $6.5 a year, right? If I were the Devils, I would also lock up Taylor Hall this summer long term, just give him a nice big fat extension. And then you got to start looking at, all the other options that you have. They have cap flexibility. Ryan Clough is coming off the books. There's a lot of things.
Wait a second.
He's still on the bench coaching, but he's coming off the books because he still counts against.
Yeah, no, he is.
Wow.
I'm looking at it now. I've got our cap space stuff up here right now. Clough coming off the books. He was. All right, let's see. He was a cap hit of 4.85. So that's coming off the books there. You've got Grabner is 1 year remaining. Now I don't know if it's 1 year after this year. Yeah. So 2000. All right. So 2018-19, which would be next season. UFAs. Ryan Clough. No one's going to pick him up. Grabner. UFA. Yeah.
And I would like to.
Patrick Maroon is a UFA.
I would like to see
Miles Wood is an RFA.
I'm sure
UFA. We've got Stafford is a UFA. Jimmy Hayes is a UFA. RFAs for both Nason and Coleman, and Brian Gibbons is a UFA. Those are forwards. On defense, we only have Moore is a UFA, and we have Santini is an RFA. And Eddie Lack is a UFA next year.
I mean, you got to bring.
We could have used him against Tampa.
Yeah,
we could have used him against Tampa. Unless, and if they do, maybe they can shift him to more of like a Binghamton contract or whatever, two-way.
Yeah. So
I gotta make a point here because I pulled up I did some Googling. I remember at the draft, the 2008 draft, when the Devils were up to pick. I was at the draft day party at Prudential Center, and I was I was talking to Sherry Ross, and I was like, "Who do you think they're going to draft, Sherry?" And she goes, "John Carlson, Jersey kid, whatever." And who did David Conti pick? Tenenby.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right.
Like, how did you you forget about the other Eric Carlson? He got picked higher, but it was Tenenby, and we were all like, "Yes, he's good. He's so fast. He's another Parisi." He stunk. He stunk.
Yeah. He was like one of those. He was one of those never lived up to his potential type of dudes.
That's a name I haven't heard in forever.
And Douglas Walker brings up Steven Santini. I think Santini is going to be a permanent mainstay in the lineup next year. I don't think they're going to sign Moore. I think Moore might walk, even though Moore has. I like John Moore. I like, he's got some upside to him still. God, could you I can't get over the Tavares thing. I know it's not going to happen. I know that's kind of like a pipe dream, but could you imagine? Because you look at okay, I gotta stop myself. I look at Tampa Bay, right, and you see Stamkos, Hedman, Kucherov, to a lesser extent like Johnson. You look at Pittsburgh and you see Malkin, Crosby, Letang. You see these teams and they have like legitimate, 2 or 3 like superstars. I'm not saying that the Devils, like Palmieri is a good player, and they always have like good players. They just, in this type of game, I feel like they need that extra push, that extra guy that's going to like put them over the top. John Tavares.
I agree.
Do you guys catch yourselves comparing the Devils to the Penguins? Ray Shiro's DNA is.
Somebody in our Facebook group is Cairo.
Yeah, I know. No, it's actually Cheeto. It's Italian. He's Italian, but so Cairo. Yeah, Cairo. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that victory, Cairo. Oh,
actually, I did. You know what? They beat the Flyers, and thank you for that, Penguins. I much rather the Penguins than the Flyers. That's for sure.
Let me tell you, I was
all right. So that brings up a question I have for the two of you.
Okay.
So here's my question with the way we got bounced in the playoffs compared to others. Would you rather losing the way that we did away, pretty 4-1, pretty one-sided, or would you like having that glimmer of hope that Philly and Colorado, who are on their way to losing at this point, gave their fans, and then just get it, just shoved in our face with a loss? How would you? I would personally rather not go out, but I'd much rather go out the way we did than to bring it back home and to just get dismantled like the Penguins did to the Flyers today.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Losing 8-5. You score 5 goals, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna win a game. You win 5 goals, it's like it should be assured that you're gonna win a game.
No. But they were the Flyers were winning at 1 point, 4-2. It was 4-3 with a minute left in the second, and then the Penguins took it over from there.
Yeah.
So it's like that's like,
what I'm saying, though. It's brutal, and I mean, Douglas says losing is losing. Yeah, losing is losing. It sucks no matter what. But at the same time, if you want, that series is so god awful. Like, say what you will about goaltending situation that the Devils had, but Jesus, I mean, there was 5 goals. It was an average.
There was no number 1 goaltender on any of those teams with the way all 4 of those goaltenders played in that series. It was terrible. Goaltending was just not. Goaltending was a secondary thought. But then again, when you have an offensive, powerhouse like Pittsburgh does, you really don't at times need goaltending. You can just kind of wing it.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you can overcompensate with offense. And they did that.
Now, so there's something that's very interesting because I know guys and I keep saying your name there, Douglas, but you bring up a lot of good points. There's so, you really want to build from the blue line out, right? So you get to the point where you're
from
looking
at from the
crease out. Yeah, essentially. Yeah.
You're right.
You're looking at you know what I meant. You're looking at at all the names that are kind of out there, and John Carlson being the prize duck or the prize goose of the UFAs. And then I think next year there's Drew Doughty is going to be a UFA, and Erik Karlsson is going to be an official UFA, although everybody in the world saw him pick up that puck in his last game in Ottawa. So they assume that, he's going to be gone, which is probably right. He's probably going to get traded. But you're going to have to pay a king's ransom to get him. Who do you think is a realistic option for the Devils to go after? Or who do you think, did they just go for John Carlson, bring back John Moore, try to just go with what we have, bring Santini up, let him play more in the season, and just cultivate the young guys like that, or do you try to make a move and like make a trade and bring in somebody like Erik Karlsson?
Well,
a lot to digest.
Personally, I want to see I know it's regardless of who we bring in. I don't want to A, screw up the system, and B, handcuff us financially. So I think when it comes to the UFA market this summer, as long as it doesn't go, ballistic, and you can, make a good signing but not, lose all your cap space, I think that's really, no matter who we're going to sign, no matter who we're going to trade, I don't want to take on a name just for the sake of taking a name. But yeah,
we don't wear blue.
Douglas Walker just said the same thing. Don't go crazy spending money. That's my big thing. Don't go. We have cap space. Don't go crazy spending it.
I disagree.
Sam, what?
I disagree.
Sam's like, spend against the cap. Do it the Lou way.
Yeah.
Throw contracts at guys that don't deserve it.
Take that salary cap credit card and just max it out. You got to go for it. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, just like with Erik Karlsson, if there's a bidding war for him, go after him. Do what you need to do to drive up that price. Because you know what? The salary cap right now, the way the Devils are structured financially, is almost like the seventh man. It can alter in another franchise's team where it could give you the edge because you've got all that cap space. You want to make a trade, flip a couple picks, get some of those gems in the second, third, fourth round, like what Ray Shuro's doing. You have the cap space. You can do that. I mean, having cap space
going up this year.
Yeah,
always goes up. Usually goes up. Yeah, it's always going up.
I remember we talked about it a while back. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty considerable amount this year that it was going up. I remember talking about it a while back.
But has Ray Shuro, when he was on the Penguins, ever had to go after a high prized free agent? Was it Marian Hossa he went after?
Yes.
Or no, that was Detroit. That was Detroit. Never mind. But
no, Hossa was on the Penguins. Hossa was on the Penguins when they lost to Detroit. Yeah.
That's right. He was
on the Penguins when they lost to Detroit.
So
and then Hossa went to Detroit the next year, and then he lost to the Penguins or some crap like that. And then he went to Chicago and then won in Chicago.
And then he won there. That's right. That's where I was trying to remember where he won it.
Encyclopedia Beer Baron. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
See, if somebody's like, "How do you retain all this weird knowledge?" And I'm like, you know what? It's the Simpson quotes and the sports knowledge that's just retained up here. I can't remember somebody's name to save my life, but
yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. I have a hard time with names too, which is really awful for our line of work. But whatever.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of "hey yous" thrown around.
Yeah. Hey you. Yeah, you over there.
I gotta say, Douglas keeps saying that they should move Severson because he's plateaued, and I don't know if I necessarily 100% agree with him plateauing. He apparently wasn't really on the right side of things with Hines all season because he got benched a bunch. But you got to look at, like, he's still young. He's still defenseman. What a lot of people tend to forget too is, like, defensemen take a while to mature. You know, Victor Hedman wasn't Victor Hedman for the first 4 years he was in the NHL. Like, guys don't kind of automatically jump into it and then are like a stud right away. I mean, Will Butcher, he was like kind of an anomaly in the sense of like his production offensively, but at the same time, like defensively, you still saw chinks in his armor. So these guys take a little bit longer to develop. Like, you can have a winger come in and put up, 30 goals and 60 assists in the first year that he plays in the NHL. Like, that's not going to surprise anybody. But I don't know. I agree. There's a lot of guys chiming in, and I have to say there's a lot of chatter today. Yeah, which is great because I was concerned that everybody's going to be depressed, sleeping under their covers right now.
No, guys,
Which is probably where that's exactly where you would be if there wasn't a podcast tonight.
Yeah,
guys,
right.
guys, I got to
Drowning my
interrupt.
sorrows.
This is the most commented Devils podcast in the history of New Jersey Devils podcasts. Our podcast has more comments than any other podcast. I checked the Devils All Access podcast, did a little reconnaissance, did a little spying, a little research. They don't have as many comments as we do. We got a lot of comments. We got people joining in. Yeah, we have the best fans. You know, we're building this thing. We're going straight through the summer. There's no off season with us.
Nope.
You know, we're just three guys that are Devils fans that just like to talk about Devils hockey. I mean, that's the Let's Go Devils podcast brand, if you want to call it that. You know, we're not broadcasters. We just like to talk Devils hockey, like to, bitch and complain about this, that. We like to praise this, that. Like to give out shout outs, which, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Lindsay Northrop. She had a problem in the Let's Go Devils group. She wanted to get her name for the birthday on the Jumbotron, but she didn't want to pay $50 because she wasn't a member. Season ticket holder. So I said, okay, well, I wanted to try something. So I emailed my rep. I said, you got to say happy birthday, Lindsay Northrop from Sam. He's like, no problem, done. And guess what? Monday at Game 3, when she was there, saw the Devils' victory, but she saw her name on the big Jumbotron. That's what we do at the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Making
we help
dreams
others.
come true. Making dreams come
Dreams.
true. And by the way, there's Matt on our Facebook group who's been saying, stay young, stay the course. I agree. Stay the course. Like Ray Shearer's doing this the right way. Think about how far this team has come in the last 2 years. Last year at this time of the season, I was just like, you're knee deep into other teams' playoff series. The fact that we're just coming off, even though they lost, we're coming out of a playoff series. Like that is just a huge step in the right direction.
We weren't even supposed to be there.
No,
I mean,
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I was thinking the same damn quote just as I said that.
You got any balls down there?
No, but in all seriousness, we were not even supposed to be in the playoffs. We just barely made it in. But I think the fact that we even made it that far with this lineup, with as young as it was incredible. There's a lot to be there's more to be positive than there is to be negative about this year. And there is some merit to the fact that you can, they'll hopefully take this playoff debacle or loss, whatever you want to call it, losing is losing, and use it as motivation for next year. It's one of those things where it was like, well, we were almost, we were there last year and it didn't go so well. So let's not have that same feeling again. Let's go beyond that.
Yeah. And Benny, we were just talking about it before about the Devils going after Tavares. It's kind of like when you were a kid and you had that poster of, that super Lamborghini or that hot, the hot chick in the bikini who's like volleying a volleyball at somebody that wasn't there. It's like you look there and you like dream and dream and dream and you're like, one day she'll be serving that volleyball to me. And I'll be driving that Lamborghini, and John Tavares will be our first line center. So yeah,
just one day. Just one day.
You never know. The fact that the Isles haven't even locked him up yet is beyond me. I can't believe they can't sell him on a brand new arena that's going to be built out, and
it's going to be next to a horse track. It's going to be at a horse track.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
gamble away, boys. Gamble away.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool to go and, watch a game and then go, place a couple bets on the ponies afterwards.
Oh, you mean
just like the old Meadowlands days? Yeah, the old Meadowlands days.
We're gonna go watch some harness racing and then go watch some hockey.
MH Height says. MH Height says, "Insuro we trust." I like that. You know what? We're gonna have to get Bill Clement on in the next 2-3 weeks because
make the Devils great again. That's good.
before anybody, when we were in a disastrous, just absolutely disastrous part of last season, not this past season, but the season before, Bill Clement comes on to the podcast, and that's what I was just doing it solo. And he said, Ray Shero knows what he is doing. Ray Shero knows exactly what he's doing. Devils fans, you are lucky to have Ray Shero. And I have the recording of it. And this goes back in December of 2016. Bill Clement said that. And you know what? We got to get him on maybe the next couple of weeks because he knows the Shero family inside out. Played for Ray's father of those championship Flyers teams, which was a long time ago. I did see somebody post on the internet the scene of like the Flyers parade, last parade, and it was like a bunch of it looked like from Oregon Trail, a bunch of wagons. A bunch of wagons. Let me see if I can pull up that picture and put it on.
You can pull that up and find it. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I agree with Scott McDermott that this playoff experience is only going to be good for them going forward, and it's only good for Taylor Hall too. And I gotta say, if I didn't like Andy Green so much, I would say rip that C off of his chest and give it to Taylor Hall right now, because every single interview, that dude said everything right. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, right.
But I mean, like, there was an interview where somebody was like, what do you think about your new or how do you like going into the playoffs, or blah blah blah, and he's like, we like it a lot, this is about us, and like, things like that. We're like saying, you know what, it's disappointing that we lost, but man, is this a fun group to be a part of. Like, I can't say enough about how impressed I am with him this year, just not on and off the ice. Just like, I think he's going to be a cornerstone of this franchise for a long time.
Well, I think so as well, and I'm going to have to agree with you. Every interview was great. He needs to be locked up automatically right now, and it needs to be him long term, the next captain, and going from there and building the rest of the rest of this team around him and Heischer and what we've done so far this year.
Yeah, and somebody chimed in saying, "I'm sorry, this is a little off subject because I'm like trying to go through and read everybody's comments."
Yeah, there's a lot today. Like I'm trying. I missed that one. Well, that's a whole other conversation we can have.
That is, and it's Josh Mitchell that said it. So I'll have to say this, that somebody else said it earlier in the conversation too, that Schneider really found his confidence in this game. Dude, he kept the Devils in Game 5, like the entire game, kept them in that game. His value definitely went probably back to where it should be. Do you trust Kincaid to be your number one for an entire season? He did have a good stretch, but then again, like, he has his kind of shaky moments. But at the same time, he really showed you that he could be a starting goalie. I just feel like Schneider gives us more of a chance to win, so I wouldn't be so fast to trade him away.
No, I'm not fast to trade him away. No. I'm not fast to trade him away in the least. I mean, Kincaid was great, but when we needed him the most, he faltered. And the whole I can't just blame it on him. I hate that. And the entire team faltered. They're playing well going into the playoffs, and then they all falter. Maybe you go into a situation where you have a true 1 and 1A next year, and you alternate games, or you 2 in a row, and you go with a 2 goalie system instead of having a true starter for next year, because they both can play, but I think long term Corey is the better of the two, and Kincaid is a UFA come 1920. So you might either did. I mean, he also grew up a Devils fan, so he loves being here. I would hope that that's the case at least. And he may just continue to be with the Devils because he wants to be here. This is his team. I mean, Corey's locked up until 22, 23. You don't trade Corey at all. You don't trade either of them. You keep them both on your staff.
And I have to say this about Corey Schneider, especially because, like, my old man, for example, is one of those people out there that is like constantly got a axe to grind against Corey Schneider for whatever reason. Will pick his game apart, and a lot of that stems from. No, it's true. A lot of that stems from because he's not.
Well, so do I. So do I. I have an axe to grind.
Do explain, Sam.
Well, don't put me on the spot. I mean, I didn't think he was earning his salary until game 4 and 5. I mean, he really kept them in there. I mean, game 3, I mean, yeah, he did earn his salary, but then again, maybe we've been so spoiled with Martin Brodeur that what we think of a number one goalie is almost nearly impossible to have ever again in a Devils uniform. I mean, I thought Kincaid and Schneider both played like a number one goalie, and having them both back there is a happy problem. And don't you forget about our first podcast of the season. We talked about Rolly, the goalie coach, getting him from Vancouver back in July and August, and what kind of impact it would have on Schneider. But did we think about Keith Kincaid, what kind of impact that would have on him? That guy is the next Jacques Caron. As far as I'm concerned, I'm liking the results so far. It's not perfect, but you know what? It got the team in the playoffs, which everybody picked to be last place in the Eastern Conference. So,
no, you're right. You're right 100%. I mean, there's just, in my opinion, there's just a lot of people, a lot of Devils fans that will always give Corey Schneider crap because he's not Marty and because he came in as the heir apparent. And I mean, I feel like he's not as bad as as some of those people say. And I feel like if he just, like you said, he gives up some goals that you're like, come on, like you scratch your head. But at the same time, like game 4 and 5.
You know what though? Marty gave up bad goals too.
He did.
So it's not like it's not, Corey is not the only one that's given up bad goals here and there. There were a lot of times that, and I love Marty. Don't get me wrong. He's the reason why I have the pads I do, the style I play, all of that.
Well,
he was one for giving up really bad angle goals occasionally as well. And I really think a lot of that bad taste that some people have about Schneider, and I would have to agree that the transition from Brodeur to Schneider was handled so terribly.
Time out. What? My criticism of Schneider really has nothing to do with Schneider himself. It was more of the 9th overall pick to trade for Schneider. They could have gotten him in free agency. They could have
that pick turned into
some guy. He's actually a starter on Vancouver. I forgot his name. It starts with the B. He's doing very well right now. So I forgot his name.
You know what though? The thing is when Lou made that trade, that was a very, very smart trade because that was you're looking at Marty's career and you're looking at it in a snapshot and you're saying, you know what, he's winding down, he's getting up in age. You knew that the time was going to have to come where you're going to have to hand the keys over to somebody else, and he went out and found somebody who is an up and coming goalie who is right behind ready-made right behind Robert Luongo. It was a smart trade, in my opinion. That 6 overall pick was. You can disagree. You can disagree all you want, but I agree. I think that pick was worth Corey Schneider. I was at that draft before I got kicked off the floor for like sneaking all the way down. I was hammer drunk. It was crazy. I onto the actual there's a security guard and he's like, "Man, I'm starving." I'm like, "Here's a plate of food," and I'm like, "I'm going down there." And he said, "Okay." So I just walked down and I walked onto the floor. And I was walking around, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, I got spotted, and I got told not to be down there. So That's my fun draft.
You just
day
got to
story.
walk
And then
around
after
like you
that,
belong there. That's the one.
Exactly.
That's the one thing I learned in
did.
situations like that. If you walk around with confidence and like you belong there, no one questions you. What are you doing here?
And
I
that
have
works.
to be here. Why? Because
Yeah.
I'm with the team. Duh.
How many different facets?
Beer Baron, this is my point of view, okay? If you didn't get Schneider, you would have had that 9th overall pick, okay? Marty could have just fizzled out. It's not like they made the playoffs anyway with Schneider after that trade. Let Marty fizzle out. All right. Let Marty fizzle out, have his accolades, have a retirement party the last game of the season. You know, he is the starter to the end. You tank it. You kind of tank it. Get maybe a Connor McDavid. No, I'm just going a little too far there. But they should have just never made that trade and just tanked it to the point where they could have been a top 3 draft pick. Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid.
You can never tell what you're going to get in the draft. You can never tell what you're going to get in the draft. I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes there's there's guys that you can't miss on. And I have to say this before I forget, David, I cannot agree with you more about Tino Martinez taking over for Mattingly. That I hated Tino Martinez. So I was like on the opposite side of this conversation. Mattingly is my all-time favorite baseball player ever. When Tino Martinez took over, I hated his guts. So maybe now I kind of understand why people don't like Corey Schneider.
Whoa. The difference between Mattingly and Brodeur is Brodeur actually won championships.
All right, you watch your mouth, all right? I'm Mattingly.
Shorts guy and I are
round one. Oh my God.
He is a saint. You hear me? He is a saint. Oh God! I'm sorry. I was watching Step Brothers. Oh my God! All right.
So Sam, we don't make this trade. Who's our goaltender right now?
We could be the Flyers and get rid of Bobrovsky before we understand what kind of talent he has.
Yeah, right.
I'm just
saying. Now look at Bobrovsky over in Columbus.
I'm just saying.
When you have a solid goaltender that you can pick up like that, you have to do it. Especially knowing you're going to need one in a season or two, you've got to take that chance.
All right, since I'm losing this argument with you guys, I'm going to change the subject a little bit. Shorts guy,
okay.
If I will lobby to change the age requirement for the e-bug. You've got to try out to be an e-bug.
I will.
Emergency backup.
I'm actually back to playing. Yeah, no. All right. So for anyone who wasn't around for the beginning, I don't even know if we discussed this on the podcast. When the Devils had their e-bug tryouts, I immediately heard from Sam saying, "You got to go. You got to go. You got to go." Unfortunately, I had a prior engagement. I had a race that weekend down in Delaware where I had hotel room paid for and all this stuff that just time-wise was not going to work out. Unfortunately, the age limit is they don't want anyone older than 35, and I'm 35 this year. I'll be 36 by the time the next season rolls around. So I've age limited out, unfortunately. On top of that,
somebody else's birth certificate.
I was not. Yeah, right. I was also not.
Little League
I was
baseball?
also not regularly playing golf. I was, you know what though, that I don't even know what I would have done at that tryout because I was not playing goalie regularly at all at the time. I just in the last 8 months have gone back to playing after years of taking time off from the position due to injury and such. So now, if they change that age limit, I'm absolutely going to go.
Yeah, the only thing that's preventing me is the age limit. I was shocked.
Yeah.
Go ahead, be right.
I was gonna say is the age limit too, man. We're all too old. That's it. Otherwise we would be out there.
Yeah, but you know what though? Every other team's e-bug is always like 38, 42. It's these guys that are not much older than us, and here the Devils want 35 and younger. I would absolutely do this if I could. I think that would be so cool. Until
you know what,
I would think it was a no. Yeah, you know what? No. Because I found out later on in the season that you were the house e-bug for both teams. I would think that was the coolest job until the Queen went down, and then whoever the Rangers' newest backup goes down, and they say, "Here, you have to put this blue sweater on." I don't know what I would do.
God.
I don't
Just
know
throw the game.
what I would
Just
do.
throw the game. Throw the game.
Yes, I could do that.
I want to point out, you see how fast Sam and I answered that question? I mean, you
Just tank it.
Just
tank it.
tank. You go out and you're like saying you think as far deep into the goal as you can. Pointing that. What angles? I didn't even know angles existed. Your one moment, one moment in glory. You'd be on every ESPN.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, you wouldn't be
one
on ESPN
moment of glory.
You know hockey.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know what I would do? I would immediately go ask for a full right blocker glove and stick set, and just completely throw my game like completely backwards. Start catching with my right hand.
He's stacking the pads. And you're just laying on your side. Spooning your
Dude, seriously. Ready? Dumb thing. That's a move. The 2-pad stack is a move that's not even taught anymore. I know. In the last couple of years, I've taught that to my goaltenders on my high school team, and they look at the move and they're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's like a really classic move." And when I dress in practice and I pull it on some of the players, they just look at me like, "What you do?" I'm like, "I stopped you first, and second, that's 2-pad stack. You're just not used to seeing that because everyone plays the same style now."
Yeah, everybody's a butterfly, and that's the thing is things happen, and the evolution of play will always circle back. So people are, the butterfly is huge, but then you'll get some guy that'll try to stand up style and he'll let up 30 goals in a game, and then it'll eventually make its way back to the double stack.
Yeah,
why not?
Well,
Sam?
It's just. I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going. I forget it.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't realize how late it already got. But I got to tell you this: I'm sad that the season's over. I'm excited to see what's going to happen in June and July, and when the draft happens. And there's a lot of young talent coming out. And I'll tell you one thing about the pools of talent that are coming into the NHL now. It's like you see so many guys that are coming in and making a difference almost immediately, whether it be from overseas or from the college ranks or from, the Canadian leagues. It's going to be interesting. And we have guys in waiting like McLeod, who I feel like is going to be NHL ready very soon. I think that dude's going to be, he's going to be a stud. But there's a lot of things to be hopeful for. This team is heading in the right direction, so it's going to be nice.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Douglas
I'm
Walker
really excited for next season already.
Douglas Walker says this box is
You're awesome, Douglas.
Yeah, Douglas Walker. Why don't you like the Let's Go Devils podcast Facebook page and share it to all your friends? Tell your friends.
Yeah, and then come out to our next live event when we have one. Maybe we'll start off next season with a live event. Maybe the first game of next season.
There was a
maybe
Canadian
we have a live
Devils
event for the
fan.
first round of the draft.
Ooh, maybe we could. We could do the draft.
That's a Friday night.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Let's Go Devils podcast draft party.
I'm sure that we'll pull like a lot of people away from the New Jersey Devils draft day party. But what did they do last year? Was it like it was like I think they rented out the building when Heischer was drafted, so they did it out across the street. Did they?
But that was different because they had the number 1 overall pick, so that was like a bigger deal. But and it was rainy and crappy that day, if I remember correctly. Either way, all I know is. We should do something. We should do something live, maybe for the draft, or we should definitely do the first game of the year next. Well, it's going to be. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. So it's in Switzerland this year. My parents are actually going to the game, so I can.
Yeah, you said that. That's pretty rad.
Yeah, I could call my parents and get a first person perspective of how the game was.
Guys.
How everything was.
next season, this is what we're gonna do. We'll get your parents to Skype us live on the Let's Go Devils podcast.
What's the time?
And tell us. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'll look that up. Sam, you discuss this. I'm gonna look up the time difference.
So, all right, I got it. First of all, I have to say this, Sam. I'm sorry, but if we do our next live event, I am sending an open invite to everybody that's been on a part of this podcast. Like Robert and David, Douglas, all these guys that have been chiming in every week. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys. Come out next time we have a live event, hang out with us, have a couple of beers, sit around. This is what
Robert was at the.
Oh, that's right. Robert
Bobby
was
Manella
was
at the last. Yeah,
that's right. He was.
Bobby was there.
He says it's 6 hours.
It's Zurich. Switzerland is 6 hours. So
and my boy Brian Finkel,
FYI.
my boy from high school, Brian the Man Finkel, chiming in. Brian, to answer your question, the best way to communicate with us is here. We're also on Twitter. If you guys want to go on Twitter, we're also on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. We're all over the place.
Let's go Devils.com.
Let's go Devils.com if you want to listen to our past interviews. But
guys, we got a big announcement. I forgot. We're on iTunes, but we're also on iHeartRadio app. iHeartRadio.com. I totally forgot about that. We were so depressed about the loss. We forgot about the big announcement. Yeah, we're on the iHeartRadio app, and we're everywhere. We may be on Spotify soon. We're waiting to hear back from those people, but go to letsgodevils.com.
I have to admit, I love music, and I have not yet gotten on the whole Spotify bandwagon at all.
Really?
Yep. Because you know what though? I still purchase physical music, and I get a digital download with what I buy, and that's how I listen to all my music. So I am not yet on these.
I'm a big spot. I'm
not
a huge
on
Spotify fan. I love it. You know why? Because it's like I like Pandora, but I like Spotify because you can like download an album. I don't know. I just like it. It's great. I don't want to be a spokesperson for them because they're not paying us yet.
Yet. Hey, really stupid thing I realized the other day. Remember a bunch of weeks back where I was going over the different point totals and the standings, and everything was just way off, and I couldn't figure out why the app wasn't working for me. Yeah, well, I found out this past week that I had the data turned off on the Devils and the NHL app, so I could save data a few months back, and I never turned it back on.
Hey,
so that's why I sounded like an idiot multiple times looking at my app, going, "Oh, it's not working. Why doesn't it work?" I'm just an idiot, is what it comes down to. Now it's working, and it's telling me that the Devils have lost to the Lightning. Oh,
yeah. I tell you, you know what though? I feel like the Devils they're only a couple of players away from making a serious run at it. You know what I mean? Maybe one more scoring winger, or however you want to. John Tavares. They're John Tavares away from winning the Stanley Cup. So
Tavares, yes.
Start sending your mail.
That
to
would
him,
really piss off a lot of my Islander fan friends.
You know what's funny about that though is like they would get mad, but I don't think they'd be half as mad as if he went to the Rangers.
No, they would still personally like him.
Yeah,
they would still like Tavares. If he went to the Rangers, they would all hate him.
Yeah.
Which is this a good time to bring up that post article suggesting that Scott Stevens coached the Rangers?
Yo, that's never gonna happen because I don't think they would want to go with an inexperienced head coach, and that's just whatever. That's like I don't know. That's just my personal opinion, but at the same time, I just don't think. I don't know. They're stupid over there. I'm sorry, but the whole
they are.
Office, they make so many stupid. That's why they're going to sign Kovalchuk too. That's why Kovalchuk's going to get like a 6.5. I'm serious. He's going to get a 3-year, 6.5 per year, $1 million contract, and he's going to eat up a big chunk of their cap space.
And what happened? And what has happened in the past to any big star that's gone to New York? What have they done?
I
Disappeared.
don't know. Ask Rick Nash how it feels to be in the playoffs wearing a Boston Bruins sweater,
Exactly.
knowing that he's on a team.
Exactly.
And that was a big thing about like, oh, all these some dude that chirped Grabner about going to the Devils and like, oh, at least all these guys went to Tampa Bay and they're gonna have a solid chance and blah blah blah. Yeah, true, but I mean, Tampa Bay was already loaded and their defense is so good. Like that was one thing that stuck out in that series. Like when you have McDonough and you have Hedman and you have
they were good before they made that trade. They were better after that trade. There's no question about that. That's for sure.
But that's what I'm saying about the Devils is like how they need more than just Taylor Hall to be their marquee player. And I know that's something that the Devils have never really had. Like some people will be like, well, they had Niedermeyer and they had Stevens and they had Brodeur at the same time. And it's like, yeah, but sometimes a name becomes a name after they're done playing. Like Scott Stevens was amazing and Niedermeyer was amazing. They also won with those three guys. So, I mean, like, I guess that goes along with what I'm trying to say. Like, they need more than just Taylor Hall.
And I think this season will show the need for that. And they have a better idea now of what holes have to be plugged. And I think this summer they figure out how to do that, whether it's drafting or whether it's signing. As long as they're smart with who they sign and for how much they sign them for, I think the Devils are much better off now than they were this time last year. And they're just gonna keep progressing forward. I definitely trust Shiro and the process. Like Sam had always said, trust the process, trust the process. Well, the process got us to the playoffs, I think, at least a season. I think Sammy said earlier, 2 seasons ahead. But at least one season, faster than we were probably projected.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's like I think he sure played up to his potential this year, and I think he's just going to keep getting better and better and better. I think that was like, you see the things that they have. Like I said, Palmieri is a great player. I think Evander Kane is going to be is a UFA coming into the summer too. That wouldn't be a bad player to add. I know the guy's kind of like a headache off of the ice, but
well, you know what though, I would rather the Devils stay away from those headaches off the ice, which for the most part they always have. That's one tradition I want to see from the Lou era, just to continue. Sign guys that are there and are not disasters off the ice and causing you to, be distracted.
Mm-hmm.
I would so much rather that.
Yeah. Sign John Carlson. Shore up the defense.
Yeah.
Pick up Carlson. That would be nice. He's going to probably take it'll probably cost you at least six to get him. And then see where you are cap wise. Just kind of even this team. Even if you brought back a majority of this team next year, like you got to think Johansson missed a lot of games this year. He missed 37 games after he got that cheap shot from Marchand. So, having a full season with Johansson is going to be a big plus. They just need another.
I say for the first game against Boston, the Devils re-sign our friend PL3 for just that one game and let him take care of Marchand. Completely.
And then we'll have him on the show right afterwards.
Yes. We'll have his first. We'll make sure that we get his first interview post game. How did that feel to take care of Marchand?
I don't think anybody would know what to do with themselves if somebody walked out into the ice and just dropped the mitts and was like, "I'm gonna just beat you to an inch of your life for a couple of minutes."
But you want to know what? The refs probably wouldn't even let it get to that far. They'd be jumping in. All 4 of them would finally do something right. Well, not really right, but all 4 of them would finally do something and get involved in that. Just to make sure that there was no fight.
Yeah, exactly. Anthony, you just hit it right on the head. Anthony said they need a center with great setup and puck handling skills and a stud D-man with big size and D-man with toughness. Yeah, I agree. There's certain things that the NHL, like the speed of the NHL, will change. There's one thing that will never change is you need a gritty defenseman back there. who's going to be able to like just be a stand-up defenseman. Dude, Ben Lovejoy in Game 5 got absolutely demolished a few times. Like, just I felt bad for the dude. He got like lit up. He landed straight on his face during a play. I mean,
well, yeah, but obviously in today's NHL, if you want to be able to close the team out, just give a semi cheap shot to the one of the best players on the team, and the league won't do anything if you're of a certain standing, and you'll be able to complete a series.
Yeah, it's a great point, by the way. Like we said earlier in the show, as soon as Vatanen went down, series was pretty much on the downslide, because then you have all these other guys that aren't used to. He was logging the most minutes by a significant amount, and you take that away, and that's a huge blow, especially because he was, I don't know, he coming down a stretch, he was as important as Hall was to the offensive side. I think Vatanen was just as important to the defensive side.
I think also if we resign Maroon, that would also really go a long way as far as having that size in front of the net. I know it's not, the gritty defenseman in the back, but he'll go muck it up in the corner, and I think do really good for us, and possibly be that guy that, not really your classic enforcer, but will be that guy that if you do something dumb, will go stand up, for the rest of his teammates. It would be nice to see the Devils re-sign him.
Yeah, and the guy's got some hands too. You know what I mean? Like, he can spin some silk out there.
No, agreed.
I think one of the biggest issues that the Devils had to deal with all season long was getting pinned in their own zone, not having the ability to get out of the zone, and a defenseman that can clear the puck out. So, Brian was just saying, need a strong defenseman back there, especially with a young team. I agree 100%. Like, if you have a young team ahead of you, you need a defenseman that you can count on. And that's what Vatanen started to become. He started becoming a defenseman that you could really count on. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, guys, it's getting late. It's Sunday night.
Yeah.
Here. I guess that's
my children are sleeping.
Yeah. Children are sleeping. Work the next day. But we're here every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
That's right.
The Let's Go Down podcast. You can find us on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, Spreaker. We're actually streaming live audio. So if you're driving, I don't want you to watch the podcast. You can listen to it in your car. Go to letsgodevils.com and on the iHeart app, iHeartRadio.com. We're everywhere. We're just expanding right now. We're the most commented podcast.
From where we were in the beginning of the season.
Yeah,
and they're still commenting.
We talk Devils hockey, and we hang out, and we're fans just like the people that are commenting. It's like it makes no difference. I'm not a professional analyst or anything like that. I'm sure I've given out a bad stat here and there just because we're only human. But at the same time, like, this is what makes it fun. We're going to keep doing it throughout the entire offseason. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things that they need, and a lot of things to look forward to. So I've never said this before in my life, but I can't wait until summer is over.
I half-heartedly agree with you on that one, but only half, and we're just short of half. Plus, I'm sure the summer will find us filling in dead time with lots of stupid stuff as well.
Like what?
No, that's yet to be seen, Sam. That's yet to be seen.
We talk hockey for the American people because that's what we like and that's what we care about.
There's a new shirt. There is a new shirt.
That's right.
Oh, speaking of shirts, we're selling T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
Let me grab the T-shirt here. You can buy this T-shirt for $20. You want to put out the link, Shorts guy?
Yeah, bigcartel.com/SG apparel. I'll put that on the group right now, actually. So don't mind me for looking down. at my phone.
And I'll make you a promise. If you come to a live event and you are wearing that shirt that you purchased, not at the event, then I'll sit down and have a beer with you.
That's a great prize.
That's a great prize. Yeah.
Nickel beer night. Don't mind if I do.
The Devils need to have like a quarter beer night. I think that would be awesome.
Oh my God! So David said we should do a live event from the Tiki Bar at Point Pleasant. I don't think any of us would walk out of there alive.
No, but it would be great trying.
Yeah, right.
All right, guys. Should we wrap it up?
Time.
Yeah.
Is it that time? Yeah, it's
time
tough.
to go lick our wounds.
It's a tough one.
It is, but we made it.
Well, we want to thank all of our listeners, viewers, chiming in on the Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope, YouTube Live, on Spreaker, letsgodevils.com, iHeartRadio app. We're everywhere.
And I got the shirt side, my site wrong, like an idiot. It's sgapparel.bigcartel.com. And that's where you'll find the Let's Go Devils podcast.
I'll just pin that comment right there.
Sweet.
$20 could get you a lot. But till next time, Devils fans, let's go Devils.